Welcome back to Rick Reads Comics. We are continuing through House of X and Powers of 10. Powers of 10. The last time I did this, I kept saying Powers of X because that's what I thought it was. But apparently, the general consensus is that it is Powers of 10. So we did House of X number 1. Last time that was chapter 1 in this collection. And now we were going to do Powers of X number 1, or Powers of 10 number 1, and that would be chapter 2 in this. So that's what we're going to pick up today. I think the last time I did this, I read the credits and stuff in the beginning. So I will continue to do that. Hopefully the lighting's pretty good on this. I'm not too sure actually on that. See where it's at, make sure I'm seeing everything. But let's jump to the beginning real quick. We'll just do the credits because last time I did the credits for House of X. Now I'll do the credits for this one. We'll go through it real quick. Penciler is RB Silva with Pepe Larraz. Inkers is RB Silva with Adriano Di Benedetto. For numbers 1 and 2. Pepe Larraz was just number 6, so we're not there yet. He's just RB Silva for this first one. Color artist is Marty Garcia with David Curiel, I guess for number 6. And cover art is RB Silva and Marty Garcia. Now, letterer is VC's Clayton Cowles. Design is Tom Mueller. Assistant editor is Annalise Bisa. And editor is Jordan D. White. Now, if you want to look at the rest of these, you can just pause it and then check it out. And of course, X-Men's created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. All right, so here we go. Here's the cover. You also saw it on the thumbnail. But it's for Powers of 10, number 1. And it's chapter 2 in this volume. And it's the last dream of Professor X. Let's see what we got. Okay, up here at the top it says X1. The X-Men. X to the first power. The X-Men. Year 10. Krakoa. So we have Mystique and Sabretooth coming through. Or Toad, I guess. And it says, go play, Toad. So she's walking through. She has something on a flash drive here. She's walking into the House of M. And this is Magneto. And it says, oh, you're back. Good. So, tell me, have you noticed the effect this place is having? Almost overnight, it seems Krakoa has become a wellspring of hope, a home of dreamers and true believers. Even I, one so shaped by the cruelty of this world that any skepticism would seem well earned, find myself infected with the idea of it. Tell me, Mystique, do I dare dream of success? We lost Sabretooth, and he did us no favors when he killed several guards. But yes, Magneto, I have it. Well done. So he gives her the flash drive, or she's about to give him the flash drive, and she rips it back. She says, but I have demands. And then he says, do you now? So this is Charles Xavier, Professor X. He's walking now, so this is, something he's overcome. He says, is helping your fellow mutant not reward enough for Raven Darkholme? No, it isn't. I need more. Yes, I see that. But it's fair, I suppose. We have further demands as well. Really? So he, I guess, uses telepathy and it flies over there and he says, I'm afraid so. Is helping your fellow mutant not reward enough for the great Charles Xavier? We're building a better mutant world, Mystique, and everyone who would live in it owes something. Now it says X to the second power, the X-Men year 100. So somebody's laying on the ground, says, there was a dream. Our dreams are the same. While you slept, the world changed. Northern Territory, the Nexus. This one's dying. Okay, we got some weird characters here. I don't even know who these are. It says, dare I hope for something salvageable from its mind, or should I set my expectations more toward the human end of the spectrum? Bad news on that front, of course. They're wiping on termination now. Some kind of mnemonic trigger when they start to flatline. And the other mutant? somebody's crawling over here. We know her. Hmm. Silobel was born in the Khennil. Bred as a black-brained telepath, a natural Judas, subversion was written into her DNA. Normal field protocol is sure to fail. We'll have to give her a bath. Oh, let's not give up so easily, shall we? Where's that human ingenuity you're always going on about? Maybe its current misfortune is making it feel conversational. Does that sound right to you, mutant? Tell us, what did you and your friends find rifling through the Nexus? And where did they run off to? What? Friends? I see. So you'll be needing persuasion then. So this must be like some crazy future sentinels or something. Hold on, sister. I worked too hard to find you just to lose you now. No, don't you dare. So they're talking, through telepathy. Once I had no name because I was born without one. How much blood did I have on my hands before you saved me, before you named me? All of this was for nothing if you don't make it back. She's right, Rasputin. This is too important. We have to go now. Just because you were bred to be a coward doesn't make me one, Cardinal. If you want to run, then run. I won't be. And then they're doing something to her mind. She's freaking out and yelling. It says, I'm planting the black seed of Krakoa. I will wait for you as long as I can before I close it on the other side. If you do not come, then I will see you both when the world is made again. Will you pray for me, priest? So these kind of look like Magneto, or not Magneto, Nightcrawler a little bit. Of course, my faith is boundless. I pray for all living things. And that's your problem, priest. And then she flames up her sword and takes off. You've forgotten that machines have no soul. So they're still fighting Sentinels in the future. Um, Going back over here, it says X to the second power. So it's the X-Men, but in year 100. So this is way after Professor X and everybody else. That was back in year 10. So this is like 90 years later. So she slashes through the Sentinel, and that the humans lost theirs a long time ago. So you've forgotten that machines have no soul, and that the humans lost theirs a long time ago. So she jumps across and slices them. Hello, little sister, she's talking in her mind. I want to go home. Then let's do that. I've got her, priest. How soon until the gate is fully grown? So the gate's growing now. It's taking root, not long. Hold them off just a bit longer. And she's like got Colossus skin. I can do that. I was made for it. Nothing's phasing her, metal or plasma. We need backup. I'm calling in a tank. Gates open. Let's go. Okay, we're leaving now, sis. And then something happens. Oof. So there's a big sentinel hand trying to push her, and she slices it. And then it's firing. She says, oof. Got her. Rasputin. We're withdrawing with this prisoner. Hunting party. Subdue and capture the other one. So they've distracted her and they've captured the sister. Oh no, no. And then she's running through. No choice now, sister. Leave me behind. Escape. I will die here before I do. Leave, please. And then she's screaming no, and then she's getting captured too. And that's it for that part. Now we're going to have these interludes a little bit. We had these before. They're giving us information about the universe that we're in, extra backstory and other stuff. So the Sinister line. When the population level of mutants reached a crisis point and the constant evasion, relocation, confrontation cycle made systematic mutant propagation impossible, the remaining mutant leadership endorsed and approved the creation of the Sinister breeding pits of Mars. So it says remaining mutant leadership has a little star there. These lost years of mutant leadership followed the almost universal death or disappearance of senior leaders. In preceding the fall of Krakoa and Mars, many believe rampant rumors that the lost years were not accidental but purposeful. See betrayal. And then it goes from there. Under the expert hand of Chief Mutant Geneticist Mr. Sinister, this strategy mirrored the Earth-based Sentinel Hound program. But instead of focusing on the interbreeding of mutants, With powers that lent themselves to detection, pursuit, and deception, the Sinister strategy focused on mutants with power set that had more aggressive militaristic traits. Chimera. The first generation of Sinister mutants were uniformly designed to be divergent copies of a singular DNA source with the pure, uncompromised X gene, commonly referred to as fodder. Inside the breeding pits, these mutant soldiers were trained in the Martian underground until they reached the age of 16, at which time they traveled to Krakoa to defend the mutant nation state until it fell 30 years later. The second and third generations of Sinister mutants were referred to as Chimera class. The second Chimera generation produced mutants that had DNA composed of two separate X genes, resulting in a mutant with the mostly predictable combined power set of the source mutants. So that might be why that one girl with the sword had like Colossus like skin, but she was also like magic a little bit. I don't know. It says the third Chimera generation produced mutants with an amalgamated DNA featuring up to 5 X genes, outside of a predictable failure rate. See outliers. The third generation of chimeras was universally successful against the man-machine supremacy, and many believe that this would be the turning point in the war. However, the fourth generation of sinister mutants suffered a systematic failure. The entire batch of these Omega-based chimera mutants was produced with a corrupted hive mind that was only discovered to be defective after they had destroyed 40% of the remaining mutant population and caused the fall of Krakoa itself. They eventually committed mass suicide, collapsing Mars, the Sinister Pits, and themselves into a self-singularity. So that's pretty crazy. Sample Chimera, Rasputin, name Choir, so like Quentin Choir, Power Telepath, name Rasputin, Power Medam something, name Bane, Power Fulfold, I don't know. Name Pride, so maybe Kitty Pride, Power Intan something. Name Kinney, so that could have been like Laura Kinney. Power Healing. Rasputin 4. Tele Intan Metam Heal Fold something. So anyway, this is Rasputin 4, and it has all these powers. They're one of the chimeras, maybe, I guess, fourth generation or third generation, I guess. Yeah, because up to 5, third generation. So that's pretty cool. There's a lot in this. So now outliers. And these are the parts it talked about. See those. So, like any experiment, Sinister's breeding program would produce results that fell outside of the expected range, a failure rate. Every generation of mutant chimeras had outliers, but the expectation was that these failures would be controllable at worst and acceptable at best. Failure rates per generation. Generation 1 is 0.3%. Generation 2 is 1.2%. Generation 3 was 9.4%. And Generation 4 was 62.3%. So a lot of failures. Generation 3 had a 10% failure rate, where, in spite of their being bred for war, these mutants developed passive, peacetime power sets. Almost all of these outlier mutants also had personality profiles that lent themselves to pacifism and an obsession with creation myths. They also rejected the idea of personal identities and refused individual names. These variants were all called cardinal. That's crazy. Okay. Betrayal. The fall of Krakoa and destruction of the Martian breeding pits was directly preceded by the betrayal of mutants by Mr. Sinister. Retrospectively, it is obvious that Mr. Sinister was playing a longer game of self-interest that superseded any formal association or alliance. And while the failings of the Generation 4 mutants were clearly a design flaw baked into their design, it is now believed that most of the random circumstances that led to the creation of Sinister's program were, in fact, orchestrated by him. And it has a quote: "The nature of that man Sinister reaches far beyond any hope of redemption. There can be no salvation for the devil himself." Sinister was publicly executed by the man-machine supremacy after defecting. So, that's crazy. Alright, let's get back to the story. The Tower of Nimrod the Lesser, the human-machine monolith. So this is one of the Sentinel's towers. It's Nimrod is this guy. It says, "Look, Omega, It appears as if your faith in humanity has paid off once again. They come bearing gifts. So this must be Omega. Great Nimrod, we seek an audience and require the wisdom of your counsel. Please, there's no need for formalities. We are all allies, equals of a kind, and you are always welcome. What do you need, Hunter? Earlier today, we believe that as many as 4 mutants penetrated the Nexus and accessed the mainframe. We do not know how they gained entry. We do not know how they masked their search, and we do not know what they found. At least one escaped. One died, and we captured this one. She once was a hound. So I guess that other one got killed. This one escaped. Or this one was captured, and then the other one that looked like Nightcrawler, I guess she was calling him priest, he escaped. And isn't this interesting, Nimrod? From the Salson Khennil. You are looking at the last strain of mutant produced through our breeding program. A hound, I see. Give me your eyes, mutant. I want you to look at me when I say this. I am so sorry for what we did to you. In fact, I am embarrassed and ashamed of what we did in the name of both expediency and annihilation. We bred you not only to be a slave, but to betray your own people. How in a good and just world did higher functioning programs like ourselves believe that would ever be a good idea? But speaking personally, I find it encouraging that your litter failed us so miserably. Bad ideas should die a bad death. And find hope in that. And you should too. I find hope in that, and you should too. So she's quiet and she's thinking. And says, if it takes 1,000 years, I swear we will endure and erase you from existence. That's the spirit. I love it. Nimrod's huge. I don't remember him ever being that big in the old stories or comics. Some bad news, though. This will not be that day of days. Today, you will tell us what you were looking for, if you found it, and most of all, why you wanted it. Do you really think I would do that? Of course, people betray their own kind all the time. I can assume standard interrogation protocols failed. We tried. But, as you know, she was bred to withstand that. It might not work, but I want to give her a bath. See what comes out in the wash. Yes, 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 yes. Perhaps the AI is young, still learning. Parsing the data comes without a clear window of recovery. You can learn what you needed tomorrow or decades from now, when the information is useless. Are you sure? What else are we going to do? So they're thinking, please let me have it your way. So he's all happy, he's excited. And then says, excellent, prepare the subject. Let go of, stop, what are you doing? So they're giving her a shot or something. They're getting her ready, I guess, for this vat. They call that the bath. I am so sorry for what I'm about to do to you. You see, I built something, a repository of sorts, a monument to understanding the mutant anomaly. But sometimes innovation has a biological cost. When you add to that your unwillingness to let us know the things we need to, well, necessity narrows our options even more. Soon, all of these chambers will be full of your kind. Your bodies, and more importantly, your minds, will be submerged in femto fluid, where you will be suspended and distilled down to nothing but data. Curated by an AI of my own making, my very own brood. Unfortunately, for one of mine to flourish, many of yours must perish, including you. So, as you fade away into nothingness, do try to find it in your heart to forgive me. So she's yelling back, you think threatening me is going to make me tell you what you want. I'm not afraid to die for what I believe in. It's good that you're willing to die for a cause, though causes have long seemed to be fatal for you people. And unfortunately, while this is a kind of death, it's not one you can escape from. So they're going to distill her down and take all the information they can out of her, I guess. So now we're going to find out what the Khennil is. The Khennil. Sentinel mutant breeding camps. The Salsin Khennil was built to be the pinnacle of the man-machine ascendancy's breeding program to produce hounds. Hounds which were mutants bred in captivity to hunt other mutants, were originally designed to present as a subspecies with dehumanizing affectations. These were meant to generate fear and sympathy in their intended targets, but these designs were quickly abandoned after several generations because, being broken and independent, they were ineffective hunters of their own kind. However, modified versions of the hounds, like the final ones bred in the Salson kennel, were created with unreadable black brains and conditioned for insurgence and duplicity. And while the few hounds who were successfully deployed proved to be lethally effective, the majority of them, as they were bred for betrayal, defected in support of their own kind and became some of the mutants' most effective warriors. The Salson kennel was destroyed 10 years ago, along with all biological and research material. This is a long one to read. The No Place Hub. I'm sorry. So they're walking. Okay, so she looks like she survived. They're upside down. I don't know why. It says, I wish I was made some other way, but I'm not. I'm just not capable of violence. If I could trade places with her, I would. You know that, right? She was gone by the time I was done fighting them. Gone. While you watched. Right now, I think I would take your trade, priest. Krakoa. We saw that there were only two of you in transit. What happened? Percival's dead. Silo Bell probably is too. Silo Bell is the one that got captured. Percival is the one that got killed. I don't know if we actually seen that. I don't think we did. So here's Wolverine. It says, well, that's too bad. They were both good soldiers. Question is, did they die for nothing, or was it worth it? So we got Wolverine. We got Magneto. This looks like a Groot-looking character. I don't know. It says, we've got it. All right, then follow me. The old man's waiting. So Wolverine's still alive at this time, unless this is some crazy clone or something else. I guess he would be because he's, got a mutant factor and he's really old. So this is like 90 years later from year 10, where we were earlier. Surviving mutants. Total mutant population under the man-machine supremacy. The current estimated number of surviving Homo sapiens superiors is currently believed to be less than 10,000. The vast majority of these mutants are transplant refugees no longer living on Earth or in their native solar system. Two main colonies, which make up the bulk of the refugees, exist in Shi'ar space. The first, Benevolence, is a converted transit station located on the fringe of Shi'ar space, where it has long served as a buffer between the Empire and the wild space spawning grounds of brood breeding territory. The current number of mutants living on Benevolence is just under 8,000. The second mutant colony is located on the Shi'ar throne world of Shandilar. The less than 2,000 mutants who live here are, by treaty with the Empire, warrior stock for the Imperial Guard. Currently, 6 mutants serve as super guardians, and 57 are of sub-guardian classification. Another star, asterisk. It has long been whispered in Imperial circles that Empress Xandra has always had ambitious plans to annex the Sol system, and the mutant guardsmen are being cultivated to be sympathetic conquerors as an emollient for imperial rule. Inside the mutant community, it is hoped that should this come to pass, the surviving mutants can serve as seed stock for repopulation. Wow, that's crazy. Alright, Soul Mutants. All living mutants in the Sol system are currently citizens of Asteroid K. After the recent deaths of the ex-hound Silobel and the ghost Percival, the current population of Asteroid K is 8. So the Benevolent, location is Shi'ar space, population 7,942. Chandilar, which is on the Shi'ar homeworld, is population 1,829. And Asteroid K, locations in our solar system, is 8 people, or mutants. So now we go back, right here it says X, X to the third. So this is year 1000. So this is way ahead of where we were before. And if you look, she is still in this tube, if that is indeed her, and that same thing is going on. It says the archive of Nimrod the Greater, the mutant library. And there's nothing I can do to prevent it. So we are losing them, and there's nothing I can do to prevent it. There's too much machinery floating around inside there, Not enough soul to save, let alone copy. The blame is not yours, librarian. Librarian. It's mine. I simply wasn't built to maintain integrity for a millennium. So that must be Nimrod. I don't know. It's no one's fault, Nimrod. Yep. You did exactly what you were made to do. You created a collective consciousness of mutantdom, a living database of Homo superior, in order to provide a tactical advantage in a war. Who could have known how pointless and useless that war would be? Who, at the time, could have seen the surprising end of the human-machine mutant war? Homo sapiens. So good to be done with all of that. And are we done with them? Can we ever really be done with the past? After all, that's what's legacy. What a legacy is. The preserve. That's where they are, and it's why we keep dinosaur bones around. So I guess all the Homo sapiens are dead, humans, and now it's just mutants and robots and stuff. As a reminder of what this world used to be like, and to remember what we overcame. It's important to keep a record of the great sins of history. Even better, to preserve a remnant, something to point at, and hope to God they never have dominion again. So this is like an Adam and Eve character here in this memorial or preserve. Then we got a quote right here by Rasputin. You've forgotten that machines have no soul and that the humans lost theirs a long time ago. We read that earlier. Okay, that's the end of issue number 2 of Powers, or issue number 1 of Powers of 10. So now we're jumping back to House of X number 2, which is the chapter 3 in the book. We'll read that next time. So thanks for joining me. The story's good. It's got a lot to it. There's a lot of history. There's a lot of reading, but I like it. The art's really good in this. The characters, I just hope it starts, coming together pretty quick, and we have some action going on, and we know what's happening. So right now, I'm still kind of lost a little bit, but it is exciting. I'm glad I'm finally reading it. It just ended this whole kind of age, the Krakoa age, in the comics. So I'm finally catching up, and it's pretty good. But all right, I will see you next time. Thanks for joining me. Later.